We'll call the meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. Can I get confirmation of the agenda? We have an amendment. Can I get a mover and a seconder to amend the agenda? Councilor Bernier and Councilor Charlotte.
Moved by Councillor Bernier, seconded by Councillor Charlebois, that the agenda for the regular meeting of February 26, 2024 is amended to include the following. Under closed session, labor relations or employee negotiations, section 239(2)D, concerning the Director of Growth and Infrastructure / Deputy CAO position.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, I'm mover and a seconder. The meeting of February 26, 2024 is approved as amended. Councilor Brambat and Councilor Bernier.
Moved by Councillor Brambat, seconded by Councillor Bernier, that the agenda for the regular meeting of February 26, 2024 is approved as amended.
All in favor? Carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. I have one from Councilor Charlebois.
Your worship, I have a conflict with item 10B, bylaw 3773-24, adopt a community improvement plan, as I own a business which could stand to benefit from this bylaw were it passed.
Duly noted. Looking at a mover and a seconder for adoption of the minutes, Councilor Bernier and Councilor Jiguer.
Moved by Councillor Bernier, seconded by Councillor Jiguer, that the following minutes are hereby adopted. Emergency meeting, February 9th, 2024, 4 p.m. Regular meeting, February 12th, 2024, 6:30 p.m.
Is there any comments or questions on the minutes? I see none. So all in favor? Carried. So the public hearing will commence. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councilor Lafayette and Councilor Charlebois.
Moved by Councillor Lafayette, seconded by Councillor Charlebois, that council opens the public hearing to hear comments respecting the following. Town of River Falls Community Improvement Plan.
So we'll turn it over to Sarah, please.
Okay,
There you go. Can you hear us, Sarah?
I can hear you now. Sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'll turn it over to you now, please.
Perfect.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
I also have my colleague Sumaya here as well tonight. And we're here for the public meeting of the Community Improvement Plan. So we've been working on this plan with the town, in particular, Mr. Bill Greenway and Mr. Mark Dubé. And we're here tonight to kind of present the final community improvement plan for council's consideration for adoption, as well as the community improvement project areas for consideration. And I believe those are on the agenda for this evening. Sumaya, are you able to bring up our presentation on the screen?
Yes, give me 1 second. Can you see my screen now? Okay. Can you see the screen of for the presentation?
We're still waiting. There we go.
You
Perfect.
can see it now.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, so we can go to the next slide there. So I'll just give a little bit of an overview of the project and how we got here, and then Sumaya is going to get a little bit more into the details of the incentives that are proposed in the plan. So a community improvement plan is a planning tool that allows a municipality to enable community improvements and revitalize community improvement project areas. So you define specific areas of the municipality that you want to target for these improvements. It's a document that's enabled by both the Planning Act and the Municipal Act, and there are requirements under each for the development of the document. It allows for municipal incentives, so actual funds from the municipality to stimulate private and public sector investments in a community. And a municipality needs to have this plan in place in order to be able to do that. The plan can apply to all areas or targeted areas in the municipality, and we will highlight the project areas that are proposed later on in the presentation. And it requires municipal funding, so budget set aside for the plan and community buy-in from business owners, property owners for uptakes of the incentives to be successful. Next slide. So the objectives and the desired outcomes of the CIP are to align with the town's newly approved official plan. The official plan does set out several goals in it for a community improvement plan and project area. Also to align with the town's asset management and other strategic plans. To improve the physical, aesthetic, and functional appeal of CIP areas. As you'll see, a lot of the incentives, or excuse me, several of the incentives are for things like facade improvements or parking lot and landscaping improvements, which will improve aesthetic areas of the town. To increase the overall tax base through new and improved buildings on the tax roll and creation of private sector jobs. So there are incentives for commercial and industrial properties, so which would serve to create those job opportunities through increased commercial industrial space provided in the town. To increase housing as well, there are several incentives that apply to residential areas and to develop commercial and industrial businesses. So in terms of developing this plan, we started last summer with town staff, as I had mentioned, reviewing existing documents for the town, preparing kind of a preliminary directions memorandum, identifying potential incentives that we could include, what areas we wanted to target, what types of uses we wanted to target for those incentives, and holding a stakeholders meeting. For phase 2, we developed that draft CIP document. We had a second stakeholder meeting to review the draft document, and we had provided council with a status update back in November of 2023. Finally, we also held a virtual open house in November of 2023 as well to seek comments on the draft document. Finally, excuse me, at the end of this year or last year and coming into this year, we've revised the CIP document. So that's the one that you see on council's agenda tonight. And tonight we're at the public meeting for any final comments and questions and for council to consider adoption of the CIP. And I'll pass it over to my colleague Sumaya, who's going to talk a little bit about the incentives that are in the CIP document.
Thank you, Sarah. So the CIP incentives program can be like very various and different depending on the improvement priority areas. So for the Iroquois Falls CIP, the programs were selected following discussions with the community, stakeholders, and the town of Iroquois Falls. So the CIP programs that were identified, they tackle properties improvements. They also tackle fees, rebates, and also tax incentives. So as you can see from this diagram, the proposed CIP incentives are site improvements, municipal fuel reductions, brownfield redevelopment, and municipal land management. So to go in the programs one by one. So the first one is the facade improvement program. And it's worth to mention that each program is provided to an upset limit of incentive. So for the facade improvement program, which aims to provide incentive for the restoration of facade, repair, replacement, or addition of exterior lighting, for example, street furniture related improvements. The incentive can cover up to 50% of the eligible cost, up to a maximum of $5,000, knowing that the minimum amount to benefit from this program is $1,000. This program targets all businesses and multi-residential development properties located within the project area. And it is worth mentioning while we're presenting the programs that multi-residential is defined in the CIP as properties with 6 or more residential units. Affordable housing shall mean housing for which annual accommodation costs do not exceed 30% of the gross annual household income for low and moderate households. So moving forward, the second program that is being proposed is the signage improvement program. So this program aims to improve the sign materials or construction, the sign lighting, and any other sign-related work as approved by the town. This program targets all businesses located within the project area, and the incentive is offered to cover 50% of the eligible costs up to $2,500. The other program, the next program, is the Planning, Design, and Architectural Grant Programs. This program targets all businesses and multi-residential developments located within the project area. However, preference will be given to technical studies towards facade and signage improvement programs. The applicant for this program shall submit, for example, architectural services, engineering consulting services, plans or inputs, design drawings, and building facade, for example, plans. The incentive is being provided to cover up to 50% of the eligible costs, up to $1,000. So this program is offered and will be applied to a maximum of 1 study per property. The next program is targets municipally owned land. It is known as the sale of land for less than market value. So the properties are municipally owned, such as multi-residential properties or affordable housing, commercial or industrial development projects in the project area. The purchaser of such property with this incentives has 2 years to complete the development of the property. And this program aims to stimulate private investment in properties by sale of municipally owned properties. The next program is the brownfield tax. There's another one. So there's the building permits and planning application fee rebates. So this program, it really offers fees rebates on planning applications, such as like official plan amendments, rezoning applications, consent. This grant applies to building permit fees, signage permit fees as well, demolition permits, and then landfill fees. The properties that are targeted by this program are all businesses and multi-residential properties located within the project area. And the grant covers up to 50% of the town's fees, up to a maximum of $500. The next program is a tax increment grant program. So this program consists of rebates on the property value increase following an improvement. It is being provided over the period of 3 years and consists of a rebate of 75% of the tax increase the first year, 50% the second, and 25% the third year. The grant will be dispersed 100% after payment of taxes once the property has been reassessed by the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation and following the completion of the CIP project. So the eligible costs for this program cover all improvements to eligible properties and buildings in the CIP project area, which meet the CIP goals and objectives. So the minimum increase to benefit of this program is $25,000, and projects are also required to be compliant with the town's zoning bylaw and any other applicable land use bylaw. The next program is the Environmental Site Assessment Grant. So this program aims to promote the undertaking of environmental studies. The grant will also be dispersed 100% on the submission of the final completed study. The incentive will cover 50% of eligible costs to a maximum of $5,000 per study and per property. This program targets brownfields and greenfields. So greenfields are commercial sites that are not developed or developed appropriately. Brownfields are also like formal industrial sites that are not developed. So the tax assistance for this program is provided over a 5 years period where the town may pass a bylaw providing for the cancellation of all or a portion of the taxes for municipal and school purposes up to 50%. The maximum 5-year period for tax assistance include a maximum of 18 months for the rehabilitation period and the remainder for the development period to a date specified by the bylaw or the date that tax assistance equals the sum of eligible costs. So the CIP incentives programs include a total of 8 programs which target different areas and different kind of properties. The total amount that can be granted per property is $10,000, excluding tax increment grant program, building permits and planning fee rebates, and sale of land for less than market value. So finally, to present the CIP project areas, the areas where the CIP programs that we presented will apply. So these, everything that's in yellow is where the CIP program shall apply. And as you can see, most of the areas are located within the urban settlement areas, where most properties are located, where economic activities are more dynamic and where improvements are targeted, and also in the existing industrial site within the town site area. So as you can see, the CIP program areas, and based on the zoning, they do apply throughout the lands that are zoned residential and range from medium to high density residential uses. Commercial zones, such as the general commercial, highway commercial, and resort commercial zones. Industrial, that include light industrial and heavy industrial zones. And finally, the airport business industrial zone. And we'll see that on the second map. So as you can see, there's the town area right here. And then right here we have the airport area. And then we have Porky's Junction. And right here we have Monteith. So if we zoom a little bit on the inset area, we can see that there is the urban settlement area and the properties are located within the urban settlement areas. The same applies for Porky's Junction. So the properties that are being targeted are located within the urban settlement areas. The airport areas, and we also note some resort commercial areas outside the urban settlement areas. So these areas, they were areas of interest for the improvements. And based on community consultations, they were also integrated in the CIP project areas. So with that, we'd be happy to take any questions.
Would one of our directors, Bill or Mark, have anything to add before we go to comments or questions from council at this time? We're good? Okay, questions from council or comments? Would you guys?
Thank you, worship. After reviewing the whole thing here this evening, I was in contact with two other potential investors that would also have, I'll say, an interest in this. So I'll be declaring a conflict when it comes to voting on this bylaws.
So you'll hand in the paperwork
Yes.
then? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Duly noted. Any other comments or questions? Okay. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Shall we close this public of the hearing portion? Councilor.
I have a question. I have a question. I'm sorry, Sarah, my question is probably the same as it was at the open hearing when we had a virtual house. It's Jim Brown speaking. Have we reached out to Rivers Edge Development or BMI Group to enter into any talks with them to see if we can advance the largest industrial piece of property in brownfield we have in our community?
Yeah, so I can start answering part of that. So subsequent to our conversation, you will note on the proposed project areas that we have included the Rivers Edge property as included in the CIP project area, so they could benefit from incentives. And in terms of discussions with Rivers Edge themselves, I'll defer to Bill or Mark at the town for that.
Bill?
No comment on it right now.
No comment?
No.
Okay. Mark? Okay. Okay. Any other comments or questions from the public?
Yeah, just one. I mean, that question was asked back in November. Did we reach out to them? And obviously no comment means we haven't reached out to them.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from the public? Okay. So can I get a mover and we already did that, right? Okay, can we repeat it? I think it was Councilor Brownbat and Councilor Bernie.
I just say a comment on it
Sure.
before, yeah, just, I think to maybe just go along with, I believe it was, Mr. Brown asking the question. If this does get passed tonight, can we reach out to maybe anyone, that would fall within this area, just to make sure that they are aware of what the opportunities are moving forward, just, you know, if it's BMI or if there's other people that own any kind of property that could benefit from these areas, that we bring it to their attention.
Was this done? That should have been done, right?
Including the party, I don't name names,
Yeah.
but including them, they were.
They were?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. They were engaged.
Thank you.
And maybe just to add to that too, so following council's consideration, if you do decide to adopt the bylaw, which adopts the plan, and there's also a bylaw for the project areas tonight. Obviously, this information would then be posted on the town's website that you have a community improvement plan, and it was posted as well that these activities, the consultation were taking place. We've also prepared a little brochure as well, so that highlights the incentives that Sumaya was talking about, describes the project areas and provides contact information. So we'll be providing that to Bill. So definitely, you know, advertisement of the CIP and to the community to let them know that it is available is important, again, for the success of the community improvement plan and uptake of the incentive programs.
Our interim CEO, Brian.
Thank you, Your Worship. I was gonna simply echo Sarah's comments in the terms of, you know, leading up to this, there's obviously community consultations that are very important, but at the same time, now that this tool will potentially be in place, now it's our job to go educate, advocate, and make sure that this tool is being utilized as much as possible, especially from potential businesses and growth standpoint to ensure we can take advantage of it. So we really want to be able to utilize that going forward, and I'm excited to have that discussion.
Yeah, and this was years in the works, so I appreciate everybody's hard work. Bill?
So we do have another comment too. We are going to embark on a business retention and expansion program coming up very shortly. It will be as much surveying local businesses as it will be an educational piece as well.
Yeah.
So the community improvement plan will be introduced, if it already hasn't been, to all the businesses in the community at that time as well.
Okay.
So,
Councilor LaFave.
Would it not be safe to say that this, and as Sarah suggested, this has been advertised on numerous occasions, that there was public forums. It's been advertised in the local paper. It will be in the minutes of this meeting. We're having the public session tonight, so anybody who's interested should be aware of it in the community. Is that fair to say?
And any new business coming to town will be engaged in this.
absolutely. That is fair to say.
Thank you.
Okay, we're all good? So all in favor? Carried. So on behalf of the town of Irvine Falls, I'd like to congratulate Greg Peaver on his outstanding service and commitment to the over 25 years of service as a fireman. So I'd like to ask Greg to come forward and the fire chief to come forward, please. And give him a warm welcome. On behalf of the town of Irvine Falls, I'd like to give you this watch for your years of service. Thank you very much. Yeah. I'll get all three of us in the. I'll move the chair. I'll let you go in the middle. Do we have some more things? Congratulations, Dr. Beaver. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Thank you, Dr. Chief. It's amazing all the fire department, the years everybody's been putting in the hard service. It takes a lot of commitment, and I appreciate all the hard work of the whole fire department. We'll move on to purchase of a snow blower. I get over in a second, please. Councilor Jiguer. And Councilor LaFave.
Moved by Counselor Jiguer, seconded by Counselor LaFave, that staff be authorized to purchase a snow blower attachment for the estimated cost of $11,300.
Is there any comments or questions? Good to go? Okay, all in favor? Carried. Next one is the Zoom camera kit. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councilor Jiguer and Councilor Tremblay.
Moved by Counselor Jiguer, seconded by Counselor Tremblay, that staff be authorized to purchase a Zoom camera kit and tablet for the estimated cost of $29,574.46.
Any comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Liquid calcium, can I get a mover and a seconder? Councilor Tremblay and Councilor Jiguer.
Moved by Counselor Tremblay, seconded by Counselor Jiguer, that council accepts the results for the calcium quotation from Polar Distribution for liquid calcium application in the amount of $47,460 plus HST, and WAMCO for calcium flake in the amount of $19,058.50 plus HST.
Any comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. So municipal grant request, mover and a seconder. Councilor Shalabaw and Councilor Jiguer.
Moved by Counselor Charlebois, seconded by Counselor Jiguer, that council approve the municipal grant request form for persons, organizations who request grants or donations from the town.
Any comments or questions? Councilor Shalabaw.
Yes, worship, just for clarification's sake, looking at the draft form, it looks like it will be an online form. I just want to ask to ensure that the form would also be available in paper format for those who don't have obviously a connection to the internet.
I'm sure we can-
Definitely it will be.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Laflamme?
I think it'd be interesting to note as well that the total grants that we've approved this year in budget is increased over the previous years, if I'm not mistaken. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Can you tell me what that number is?
Our treasurer, please?
Yeah, for now, we have 5,000.
From what we had was 1,500 or something like that, was it before?
I believe so, yeah. Okay, good. Thank you for the comments and questions. All in favor? Carried. We're gonna move in a seconder that we appoint Mitch Carrier to the Assistant Deputy Chief. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Councilor Shalabaw, Councilor Laflamme.
Moved by Counselor Charlebois, seconded by Counselor Lefebvre, that council appoint Mitch Carrier to the position of Assistant Deputy Chief.
Any comments or questions? Fire Chief, like to say anything?
No, Jose and I and Jamie met, and in consultation with the deputy chief, and we came up with the decision to appoint Captain Carrier to that position.
All in favor? Carried. Policy and procedure. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Councilor Brownback and Councilor Jiguer. Any comments or questions? I'll read the motion.
Moved by Counselor Brownback, seconded by Counselor Jiguer, that bylaw number 3772-24 being a bylaw to establish a policy and procedure with respect to the management and the sale and other disposition of municipal land, and to repeal bylaw number 3501-18 be read a first, second, and third time and passed this 26th day of February, 2024.
Comments or questions? Councilor Tremblay.
If somebody could answer me this, thanks, Your Honor. Section 2.4, lands that are surplus to the needs of the municipality. And at the end of that sentence says, unless the public interest demands otherwise. What exactly does it, unless the public interest demands otherwise?
Can staff clarify that? Sure.
So what that means is if like, if it's in the public's interest, and that's determined by council, actually,
In the best interest.
in the best interest of the community. So
Okay, any other comments or Councilor Jiguer?
Do you have any applications in right now for any land to be sold that are currently being in the process? That will be entered on, like, if we pass it or not?
Yeah.
So, yes, we do. And in an email, actually, we did point out that those lands would be exempt from this policy. Or portions of this policy.
These lands are just the current people that have the application in, correct?
Go ahead, Bill.
So the ones that are currently under consideration.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Community improvement plan. With two councilors discussing over. Can I get a mover in a second? Councilor 5. Councilor Bernier.
Moved by Counselor Lefebvre, seconded by Counselor Bernier, that bylaw number 3773-24 being a bylaw to adopt a community improvement plan for the town of Erica Falls be read a first, second, and third time and passed this 26th day of February, 2024.
Any comments or questions? Councilor Bernier.
Thank you, your worship. I just want to simply highlight the work that's gone into this by not only Sarah and her team, but staff here as well. This is, I know, years in the making and something that can be very interesting, very beneficial to our community. So I just want to thank everybody involved in the process of building this safely.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? All in favor? Very good. Can somebody let the other gentleman back in, please?
Yeah, so it's like.
Oh, you might want to step back out. I'm sorry, gentlemen. Just to protect you, yeah.
Yeah.
We may not come back.
Just keep walking.
Can I get a mover and a seconder? Councilor Bernier and Councilor Tremblay.
Moved by Councilor Bernier, seconded by Councilor Tremblay, that bylaw number 3774-24 being a bylaw to designate certain lands as the community improvement project area for the town of Urquhart Falls Community Improvement Plan be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 26th day of February, 2024.
Comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Now they can come back in, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's it.
Sorry, gentlemen, sorry. We're gonna move in a second that we appoint Mitch Carey as deputy fire chief. Seconded. Councilor Lafayette, Councilor Jiguer.
Assistant.
Assistant, sorry, yes, thanks for catching that.
No problem.
Moved by Councilor Lefebvre, seconded by Councilor Jiguer, that bylaw number 3775-24 being a bylaw to appoint Mitch Carrier as Assistant Deputy Chief for the town of Urquhart Falls be read a first, second, and third time and passed this 26th day of February, 2024.
Any comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Can I get a mover and a seconder for correspondence as received? Councilor Charlebois and Councilor Tremblay.
Moved by Councilor Charlebois, seconded by Councilor Tremblay, that the following is received as correspondence. Urquhart Falls Arts Council meeting minutes, January 18th, 2024. Explore your options, job fair. Canadian Mental Health Association labor disruption. Ontario Health Coalition privatization report.
Any comments or questions from council? Councilor Lafayette.
I just want to make a comment about the document from the Ontario Health Coalition. Despite everything we read in the Enterprise recently with regards to how much benefit the Ontario government is doing to healthcare in Ontario, this debunks that completely. Because quite frankly, Ontario is the last of all provinces in terms of healthcare funding in Canada. So for them to actually suggest otherwise is debunked.
And I attended the Canadian Mental Health Association picket line in front of the Sherman Arena this past week. And to show the support that we have for mental health, because there's a lot going on in our community and region, and we need them back to work as soon as possible. Okay, any other comments or questions, Councilor Bernier?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just to touch on the topic of the Canadian Mental Health Association labor disruptions. It's very unfortunate what's going on, but it's a very hard time in our community right now. There are obviously many people affected by some events that have taken place. So although the Canadian Mental Health Association is not available right now, it's very important that people reach out to their loved ones and people who can speak up. Just please don't feel alone. Speak up to somebody that you can speak up to. There are services online. Although we don't want to negate what's going on with Canadian mental health, it's a very important time for people to reach out to their loved ones right now in their communities going through a little bit of crisis.
And on that point, we have reached out to our community partners And we're working on coming up with a plan for what's going on in our community. So I appreciate all the hard work behind the scenes also. Bill, would you like to talk about the job fair?
Yeah, so I'm sitting on that committee. And it's basically is a very worthwhile project because what they're doing is they're reaching out to local employers. They have about 27 now on board that actually want to do it like a job fair in Cochrane. It's coming up on the 17th. And we're going to have booths there and displays. People are going to bring resumes in. There could even be interviews right on the spot, apparently. So it's an extremely valuable tool for employers, and it's very good for this area in terms of all of the employment agencies that are government. Link North will be there. Our group will be there, the DSAB will be there apparently, so we're gonna be quite, I guess, inundated by people. It has been a success in the past. And their request is for us to volunteer or to contribute $200 towards the cause, and I think it's very worthwhile. And by the way, we're gonna have a booth there. Booths are free too, so.
There's no action item there, we're just attending. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Much appreciated. So, any other comments or questions? All in favor? Carry. So, for in-kind donation, the amount of $385.90, for the Cinderella Prom Project at the community hall. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Councilor Tremblay, Councilor Brambat,
Moved by Councillor Tremblay, seconded by Councillor Brambat, that council grant an in-kind donation in the amount of $385.90 towards the use of the community hall for the Cinderella Prom Project.
Marie, do you mind reading that question?
Definitely. So this letter is addressed to Mayor and Council from Heather Wolin. My name is Heather Wolin, organizer of the Cinderella Prom Project. This will be my third year running the prom project. So what I do is I have collected secondhand prom dresses, suits, ties, shoes, and accessories over the past few years. I have over 100 dresses, over 40 suits, shirts, and a ton of shoes for the participants. Around this time of year, I start to get organized to hold this event. This event is completely free to every graduating student, whether it be grade 8 or grade 12. Students are welcome to come to the event and try on as many dresses, suits as they like until they find a perfect dress or suit. They take their dress suit home with them for free. They are told they can keep the dress or suit, or they are more than welcome to donate it back for future events. Volunteers and I try to make this event comfortable and stress-free for everyone that attends. We've also traveled to different towns to help. This year, we would like to make it to Cochrane to do what we call a pop-up show. This event is truly rewarding to all involved. So what I would like to ask of you is to donate the Access Community Hall to hold the event. The first year, the Iroquois Falls Secondary School let us use the cafeteria, and last year, the Lions Den donated their hall. So this year, we ask you to donate. We cannot make this event possible without the donations of space. We are looking at the dates of April 6, 2024, from 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. We would also ask you to get in the night before to set up. Please take this request into consideration. It would be greatly appreciated.
Another question is to the rec department and our interim CEO. Is that dates available? Do we know?
I'm just taking notes right now on it, and I will,
Okay.
I can follow up, and maybe we'll get that answer in 2 seconds.
Okay, we'll wait 2 seconds.
Oh, you look good.
Okay,
Sorry,
Oh,
the
sorry.
date actually was just recently found out, the date actually isn't available.
okay.
So if council did choose to move this forward, then she would simply pick a date around that time that is available.
Okay, that's fair.
That would work.
Councilor Bernier.
Thank you, your worship. Just maybe a suggestion too, as well as we maybe work with this group to find another date available. It's also other falls potentially something over in the rec center, sorry, such as the complex hall and stuff like that that may be available.
And
We
cheaper.
can't find
Yeah,
we can find the
Central.
venue time for that.
I like that idea. Okay. Councilor Shalwa first.
Your worship, question and then a comment. Question, is there a policy that exists right now on such in kind donation type requests?
It would come, I believe it would come off our $5,000.
It would,
I think, am I correct or?
Yeah, we have 5,000 set up. Last year, council requested that we format a grant application form, which we have done. So that will be on record, and then before our organization will apply.
Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, yes.
perfect.
Councilor Trombley?
I was just gonna say, maybe we can, instead of her giving us dates when she has, let me get back to her, we don't have that date, but we'll just maybe again, tell her which dates we have are available around that time, you know,
Staff can sit down with her, right?
Yes, yes,
just so you're not going back.
That, I
yeah,
agree.
definitely. I
Good
did
idea.
give her some dates after calling.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments or
See, you
questions?
don't have to look into it.
All in favor? Carried. So council reports. Councilor Shalwa, I think.
Thank you, your worship. I attended all regular and emergency meetings. I am keeping in touch with the Chamber of Commerce. I remotely sat into the Canada Nickel Company Socioeconomic Committee meeting on February 7th. And in passing, want to thank you, your worship, and actually CEO Finner for also keeping in touch with Canada Nickel. Their project situated on Highway 655 will be huge for our area. It will represent jobs and lots of them. And we need to make our case to the company for as much as possible by way of business through the hiring of local people, businesses and more. But we can't just sit back and expect them to come to us. We've got to make our case to Canada Nickel and others similar companies that we want them to succeed and we want to be a part of their success. So we want to work with them. A related component of the Canada Nickel project brings me to the next topic. Your worship and fellow councillors, I've been approached by members of the community who are in a dire situation in regard to housing. They cannot access what we refer to as affordable housing. They are on the verge of being evicted because, depending on the case, they can't afford to stay in their current home, or the landlord has advised them that they're selling the property or they're moving in themselves. Social agencies have told folks like these that if they can't find a place to live in Iroquois Falls, their only resort will be to go to a shelter. And there is no shelter in Iroquois Falls. That means they'd have to be brought to Timmins. Other individuals are couch surfing, others are having to choose between paying the rent or being able to eat. I don't believe that we're in a crisis yet, and I don't like using that word because these days everybody applies the word crisis to everything. It's like the boy who cried wolf, people tune out after a while. But I would say that a lot of people they're on the bubble. I think yourself, your worship, you've alluded to that in the past.
Every time I go to my CD staff meetings, I porcupine health unit meetings, I tell people that we have to try and keep costs low. Because there's a fine line and we're gonna lose a lot more people to homeless and that's a crying shame. Thank you for bringing that up, Councilor.
That was a great time. The things that it's gonna get probably worse before it can get better, but I think that it can only get better if we have more housing and of different kinds. So affordable public housing, basic accommodations for transient workers, more permanent accommodations for single individuals and couples, even transitionary housing for, say, older folks who aren't ready for long-term care yet, but who don't necessarily need to be staying in the family home with 3 or 4 bedrooms, the upkeep that goes along with it. If we had transitionary housing such as retirement, independent, assisted living accommodations, then larger dwellings could be freed up for new families and so on. And I come back to Canada Nickel. It's a huge, huge project that will attract new workers and tradespeople to the area. Where will they reside? It's been brought to our attention that there may have only been a few service lots available left in town. And when those are gone, we'll have no choice but to look at new housing developments. I think the time to act is now. If we want to have people not being put on the street or seeking shelters or having to decide between food and rent, and if we want to grow economically, demographically, we've got to address housing. Thank you.
Councilor Jiguer.
Thank you, your worship, much as fellow councilors, I've attended all my meetings. Such as we're talking here about times are getting tough and whatnot. I sit on the community living board and, great organization. And, as we take for granted sometimes some of these little things that we're passing for a couple $100 or not, for them, it's actually, it changes their whole system. There is no extra money, and that is 100% government funded programs. And the government is cutting back all the time on these programs, and they can only absorb so much. And after that, it's what else is there to do? So as much as there's a housing crisis, I think, like Councillor Shalwa said, it's time we need to be making sure that every penny that we are spending is spent wisely, because people are in dire need of options. So I got.
Okay, Councilor Lepage.
I'll certainly agree 100% with Councillor Charlebois' discussion around social housing and housing in general. We definitely have to do something. So I think it's something that that council has to look after, and start very soon, as was suggested. I attended a Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing Disaster Relief Assistance Ontario program a couple of weeks ago for the people who suffered the damages out of Nelly Lake. I attended a library board meeting. I was called out by some residents out of Delorier Lake because the MTO is considering a new aggregate pit out there. And of course, they didn't advise the residents or the town, as we found out. I've attended a couple of Arts Council meetings in the month. I attended a mixed strategic planning session last week. I attended an Iroquois Falls Community Forest Committee meeting yesterday. And this Wednesday attends a mixed board meeting. And again, it's going to be a depressing one because of the deficit that we're looking at. We're in bad shape. Healthcare is in bad shape, both here and right across the country, but certainly in Ontario in particular. So it's a tough road to hoe, let me tell you. Not a great appointment. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
You're doing a fine job. Councilor Trombley.
Thank you, Your Worship. February 7th, I attended the Events Committee meeting. February 9th, Emergency Special Meeting. February 20th, regular meeting. February 13th, Historical Society meeting. I was there at the museum for a meeting, and I looked at the renovations that have gone so far. Well done, and they're very happy about the renovations. And thank Councillor Bernier for his time on that committee. They told me to thank you. And on the February 15th, Events Committee meeting also. And another thing about the museum, they'll have all kinds of, they say, new displays and new things this summer. And we encourage everybody to check out the museum this summer.
Thank you. Councilor Brambach.
After my reports, I attended all my meetings, and I would like to second Councillor Charlebois' thoughts on housing crisis that he used. And I believe that to improve housing crisis, we need to actively advocate for policies for affordable housing and support local nonprofits that's focused on housing program and promote sustainable urban planning. That's what my thoughts are. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Bernier.
Thank you, Worship. So since our last meeting, supported Chief Boucher with the shifting going on in the fire department. Thank you to all the firefighters who have moved on and retired, and thank you for their services, and congratulations to the firefighters appointed in their new positions. I've also been spending a lot of my time working on the carnival events coming up on the week of March 9th and the 16th, or I may be a day off on that, but lots of work going on. The schedule should be coming out soon. Lots of great events that were seen in the past. The big ones are all back, and it's going to be very exciting. It's kind of our project there to enhance what's already been set in stone and continue with the great activities and events going on. And then attended all the regular and special emergency meetings during the month as well.
Perfect, thank you. We go on to the mayor's report. I attended all my council meetings and my emergency meetings, my Northern Ontario Wires meeting, also my CDSAB meeting, my Porcupine Health Unit meetings, and the Carnival and Events Committee meetings. We have a Midway coming also in the fall, and the Sports and Trade Show will be coming up in May too, so we look forward to those events, plus the Carnival, March 8th to the 17th, and the committees are doing a lot of hard work, and I appreciate everybody stepping up and doing their part. And all the sponsors and all the hard work of the staff also. And I met with potential investors the last few days, government leaders, OPP, MNRF, and CMHA. So that's very busy with the staff and council, and hopefully we look forward to new and better things coming forward. Thank you. Now, can I get him over in a second? Are we going to close session? Councilor Giguère and Councilor Trombley.
Moved by Councilor Giguère, seconded by Councilor Tremblay, that council goes into a closed session at 7:27 PM to discuss the following: labor relations or employee negotiations, Municipal Act Section 239D concerning the Director of Infrastructure and Growth Deputy CAO position.
All in favor? Carried. Can I get a mover in a second that we arise from the close with the following report? Councilor Giguère and Councilor Lefebvre.
Moved by Councilor Giguère, seconded by Councilor Lefebvre, that council arise from the closed session at 7:51 PM with the following report. Council received information concerning the Director of Infrastructure and Growth Deputy CAO position.
All in favor? Carried. Can I get a mover in a second? We adjourn. Councilor Bernier and Councilor Giguère.
Moved by Councilor Bernier, seconded by Councilor Giguère, that this meeting adjourns at 7:52 PM.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Have a good night.